Norton Abrasives has a rich history in sharpening products that extends back to 1821 with the first discovery of a deposit of mica schist by Person Noyes, a New Hampshire pioneer. This deposit became the foundation of the Pike Company, the first supplier of commercially available natural stones in North America. While the Pike Company continued to quarry natural stone, including the world-renowned Arkansas stones, Norton Abrasives was working in close association with Pike in producing synthetic stones. Later, the two companies were consolidated. Now, Norton offers the world's most comprehensive line of both natural and man-made oil stones, water stones, diamond and coated abrasive products to meet the needs of all sharpening applications.
My name is Joel Moskowitz. I'm a woodworker, and professionally I sell woodworking tools. About 20 years ago, I learned how to sharpen, and this was a real revelation to me. Sharp tools allow you to work cleanly, cut accurately, and they're safer, and they make woodworking a lot more fun. Today I'm going to show you a simple technique for using Norton Waterstones to sharpen your woodworking tools. There are three reasons to sharpen a tool. The first is it's simply dull. You've used it, it's dull, it needs to be resharpened. The second reason is that it's a new tool from the factory. Tools from the factory can be kind of sharp, but they still have to be properly honed before they're really ready for use. The third reason is the unfortunate reason. You have to fix a damaged edge, a nick or a chip. You have to fix it before you can use the tool. To do that, we're going to use these Norton Waterstones. They're 8 inches by 3 inches by 1 inch thick. They're an artificial stone. They're made by taking abrasive and putting them in a water-soluble binder. As you sharpen, you expose fresh, sharp abrasive, and they cut fast as a result. They come in an assortment of grits, starting from a coarse 220 grit, which is really a correcting stone for fixing problems, a 1000 grit stone, which is a good all-around stone to start with, a 4000 grit stone, which is a polishing stone, very fine, but most people like to go to the very fine 8000 grit stone for a final polish. Because these stones are artificial, it's easy to make combination stones. This stone is an 8000, 4000 grit stone, and the stone here is 1220 grit, which actually gives you the entire range in two stones. This stone is like a 1000, 8000 grit stone because some people skip the 4000 step entirely. Waterstones, because they're soft and wear away, need to be kept flat. The way you do that is with a flattening stone such as this. This is just a very hard, very dense stone with grooves in it that keeps your stone flat, and it's kind of a typical easy maintenance. Before we can use the stones, we have to soak them in water. Filling them with water keeps the steel particles from soaking in and clogging the stone. So we're just going to put the stones we're going to use in water. They need to soak for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Norton doesn't recommend that you keep the stones stored in water, but if they're there for a couple of days, it's not the end of the world at all. I mean, they're fine. But they need at least 10 or 15 minutes before use. The stones have been soaking for about 15 minutes, and now I'm ready to take them out of the water and start sharpening. Now, I always put a paper towel underneath the stones because these nice sharpening bases keep the stone from slipping, but I also don't want to get water on my bench, and this kind of keeps it nice and clean. The tool we're going to sharpen today is a new tool, straight from the factory. The back has been ground at the factory, and it's okay, but we have to make sure it's flat. It's flat from edge to edge, side to side. I don't care about this portion. I just want to make sure that from the cutting edge, from side to side, I have a 1/16 or an 1/8 inch of actual flat, polished surface. The bevel we're going to deal with later. To do the back, I'm going to start with the 1000 grit stone. I'm not going to use the 220 because it's a new tool. The back's probably in good shape. I don't have to start it with anything that coarse. We'll use the finishing stones later. Before we start, we have to put some water on the waterstone. The water does three things. The first gives a little lubrication. The second, it prevents the stone from clogging because the steel particles will float on top. And the third, it helps as you sharpen to expose fresh abrasive that creates a slurry, and that helps sharpening go faster. When we talk about flattening the back, we really talk about creating a flat surface from side to side at the edge. No more than an 1/8 inch, even a 1/16 would really be okay, but an 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, something like that. You don't have to do the whole back. You need reference material. It has to be flat. Now, you don't hold the chisel by the handle because it's just too easy to go like that. You put all your fingers at the top, okay? And then slowly go back and forth. I'm putting pressure at the edge. You can start seeing steel coming off the tool. So you can see we're already starting to get a different texture than the rough grind across the edge. A little bit more in the corners here, and this bit still needs to be done. I think I need a little more water. Once again, I'm making sure my fingers are on top of the tool so I don't rock the chisel up and down. Okay? And I'm going back and forth and back and forth. I'm trying to use as much of the whole surface of the stone as I can for even wear. Sometimes I kind of go specifically at the end. Use the whole stone. With a new tool, this can take a couple minutes. If the tool is really badly out, I might go to the 220 stone. Make sure the stone you're using is flat. Let me wipe that off and see where I'm at. Actually, I think I'm basically there. I have a great texture on this side, almost perfect there, and a very tiny amount of flat texture right here. I want to do a little bit more, but I'm pretty comfortable. I'm basically there. Let me get a little bit more water there. We have a consistent texture from one edge to the other edge. We're done. Now we can worry about doing the bevel. Holding the bevel, and so you can consistently, is the most important part of this technique, and why once you learn it, you can sharpen anything easily. It's simple, just takes a little practice. For the sake of demonstration, I'm going to start with just a smaller chisel for a minute because it's a little easier to show. What we want to do is make sure the chisel is flat on the stone on the bevel, like that. I can do that because I'm pressing with all my force. I'm left-handed, so I'm using my right hand for power, actually my left hand for control. I'm pressing all the way down in front of the end of the bevel here so it pivots. All my power is right there. I can actually do this. It's a light enough chisel. I can't move the tool on the stone like this, but I can make sure I'm flat down. Then I'm going to take my other hand and also move it low, holding as close as I can in front of that pivot so I can click down on the stone. You can actually hear an audible click. There's water on the stone, it'll squeeze out. Getting back to our original heavy tool, I can do the same thing, but I use the pinky to kind of support the rest of the tool. There we go. Click down. I'm dead solid. Now, the important thing is to make sure that the secondary hand, in this case my left hand, is loose on the tool. And it's not grabbing it, it's not touching. It's actually holding it by the sides so I can move the tool from side to side. But it's not trying to do anything more than just give the tool enough support so it tilts down. It's important that this hand and this finger on my right hand give me the force downward. Then I want to move the tool on the stone. Now, I'm holding the tool a bit askew. It gives me a wider platform and it's more stable. Now, instead of trying to move my hands, which are now comfortably holding the tool rock solid, I'm going to move my entire body, just rocking on my feet. Find the bevel, move the tool. Find the bevel, move the tool. Use the whole surface of the stone, going in Z's. Stop at the end, especially in the beginning, to make sure you're on the bevel. Stone is getting a little dry. Let's put some water on it. The question comes about is when we're done. But we're done when two things happen. The first is if we have a consistent burr, wire edge on the back. And this is because the steel has gotten so thin at the point of the tool that it just folds over and collapses, forming this wire edge. Sharpening, to some extent, is the process of creating a wire edge, then cleanly removing it. The second thing we're looking for, especially because this is a new tool, is an even texture at the edge from side to side. And we're pretty much there. Let me work the bevel a little bit more. Water. I have the wire edge, so I know I'm sharp. We're trying to get an even texture on the bevel. I'm almost there. It needs a few more strokes. I already actually have a wire edge from side to side. We now have an even texture across the bevel, an even texture across the back. We have a wire edge from side to side. We're ready to move to a finer stone to further refine the textures and chase the burr. Put more water on it. More water is good. The more water you have,